So during our last slides, we were talking about hoses, but we're going to move on now to actually what we call the 5 love languages. And the 5 love languages is there is actually a book out there that you can buy. But for the purpose of our class, I'm not going to, of course, make you buy it. You can buy it, and there's a test in the back that can like tell you, okay, this is what your love language is. I'm hoping through the explanation that I give, you might be able to figure out your love language. Okay, so the idea is we all speak one of these 5. Some of us are bilingual, but most of us have at least a primary love language. Here's the weird thing is a lot of times we get together with people who, or even sometimes our parents, do not speak the same love language as we do. And so it's also helpful to be able to identify what language they're speaking. Okay, so let's get started with that. So one of the really cheesy parts of this theory, it says that basically we have what's called a love tank. So I want you to think about your car for a minute. It has a gas tank, right? Or most of them do anyways. If you continue to drive and drive and drive and you never refill your tank, what's going to happen? Your tank's going to finally hit empty and your car is not going to be able to move forward anymore. The love tank is the same way. If you give of yourself all the time, and I know a lot of you are, some of you are parents, some of you help take care of siblings, some of you help take care of your own parents, you have jobs, you're doing school, and you are just giving of yourself all the time. And at some point, you feel on empty and just feel like you're unable to go anymore. And so by figuring out what your love language is sometimes, then you can actually reach out to those people you love and either say, hey, this is what I'm needing right now, or even set up things. I'm going to talk about what my love language is as we get through the slides, and I'll tell you what I do in order to fill my love tank when I need to. Okay, so let's get started. The first love language is considered physical touch. This is not necessarily sexual touch. Although that does fall under this category, of course. But physical touch is just that person who just needs to touch you all the time. Maybe they like to hold your hand, maybe have their arm around you. The huggers, you know who I'm talking about, those people who you walk through the door and they're just always hugging on you. I know right now that's totally not cool with viruses and everything else going around, but that's their love language. It's so simple sometimes to see this in little kids because they are the ones who will totally hang on a person, wrap their arms around their neck and just not want to let go. They want to be always in your lap and holding on. But again, that is physical touch. Acts of service is the next one. This is doing something for somebody else or having something done for you. I will tell you, my mother-in-law speaks this language. I do not. So when she comes into my house, it is not uncommon for her to start picking up things or go into my kitchen and start cleaning it. Well, that's not my love language. So how do you think I respond to that sometimes? She doesn't think my house is clean enough. But I have to back up and go, wait, she's just trying to tell me she loves me. And that is, if you were a doer, that is probably what your love language is, okay? So acts of service. The next love language, and this is mine, is quality time. And so it's not about quantity. That's the first thing you need to understand. If this is not yours, but let's say it is somebody that you spend time with, it is their love language, you could do their laundry every day and that would be great, but that's not filling their love tank. Filling their love tank would look like having a conversation with them and just connecting. Again, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. I remember when my husband and I got married and we were kind of talking about the love language concept. He goes, so it's not okay if we're just sitting in the same room but doing different things. And I said, well, that's okay, but that's not quality time. That's not going to be feeding my love tank at all. And so the other thing to know is that guys and girls often do quality time differently. Ladies, a lot of times we love getting together with our girlfriends and just chatting, right? We sit across the coffee table at Starbucks and we're like, so what's happening in this area of your life? And we just love talking. I actually spent the weekend with my BFF from like high school, and that's what we did a lot of the weekend. We just sat and talked. Um, how do guys do that though? You don't usually see guys sitting around tables going, so share, tell me what's going on, share everything. No, they don't do that. They're like out there, like working out together, shooting hoops together, maybe working on cars together. They're side by side, but they're still communicating. And so for them, that can look like quality time. I know when my guys were younger and I had to drive them everywhere, get them like at the kitchen table, they would clam up and not say a whole lot. But get them in the car where they're next to me or sitting in the back seat, it was like I turned on a chatterbox because they would just tell me everything that was going on. Because again, they were beside me, not across from me. So that is quality time. I told you I would share with you though how like I get this need met for me when I'm recognizing that I'm running a little low in my love tank. Um, I start calling my friends, and I know we all have busy lives. That is the number one complaint I hear from people. Well, everybody's so busy, they don't have time for me. Well, call them. If you call enough of your friends and you start, because I can calendar things, and if it's on my calendar, it will happen. So call people, get them on your calendar, and pretty soon your calendar is going to start filling up. And I went through a period of time where, again, I was just needing some extra quality time from some of my friends, and so I started making. I had weekly lunch dates for like 6 weeks. It was awesome. It hit the pocketbook a little bit, but it was just really lovely to spend that time with them. Again, maybe you're not into going out to lunch or something like that, but just contact them. Say, hey, let's go hang out. And eventually your social calendar will fill up. And it's not just about being busy. It's not. That's not the point of it. It's about having that time to connect. Okay, let's move on to our next love language. That is words of affirmation. Being told, I love you, you're awesome, you're wonderful, good job. We all like hearing that, right? So here is how you kind of know it's maybe words of affirmation is your love language. Are you really hypersensitive to criticism? What I find is when people seem to be really hypersensitive to that, they personalize everything. Most likely they are a words of affirmation person. And so just be aware of that. The last is gifts. And here's the good news. It's not about the cost. It doesn't have to be expensive. I mean, diamonds are nice, but honestly, that's not what the gifts are about. The gifts are about being thoughtful. Now, I know some of you are like going, oh, if it could just be about the cost, because you know what? I know how to do that. But now I have to think about it. I have to make it meaningful some way. Maybe if that's your person's love language. But again, sometimes it's the little things. I will tell you, I have a son who his love language is gifts. If I go to the grocery store and I get him his favorite pack of chewing gum, I have spoken his love language. He is so grateful and thankful to me. Thank you so much, Mom. I have a sister-in-law. She is a gifts person. Again, just recognizing sometimes, like example out of her, we went to Seattle, and that's where she lives. And so if you've ever been to Seattle, there's this really cool place downtown. It's kind of a tourist trap, but it's called Pike's Market. And in Pike's Market, like that's where they throw fish and all kinds of weird stuff. But right across the street, there's this little restaurant that sells crumpets, which if you've never had a crumpet, I swear they're like a little piece of heaven. It's like a thick pancake, and they have different toppings, and they're wonderful. But they actually have to be cooked. They're cooked like on a pancake griddle, but they're cooked in like a mold, like a round mold, because they end up being really thick. And so for Christmas, after we had this lovely lunch with crumpets, I bought her off of Amazon. It wasn't even that expensive. Crumpet molds and a little tiny cookbook about making crumpets. Well, that totally spoke volumes to her. I scored so many sister-in-law points because I it was something that definitely came from the heart. And even though the monetary value wasn't necessarily there. Okay, so I hope that that helps you really have an understanding of what hoses are and what love languages are. So here is part of your assignment. Identify the drains in your life. It might be a thing, it might be a person, it might be several things or several people. Then I need you to go ahead and figure out what your hoses are. What is pouring back into your life? And if you don't have them, maybe this is a great time to figure out how to implement those. But specifically on hoses, I need you to identify what your love language is. Okay, so good luck with that. If you have any questions, of course, you know how to reach me through Canvas or through email, and we will talk soon. Bye.